The Rise of Narco-Submarines, Maritime Drug Trafficking in 2026, BorderTrend editorial. In the early hours of March 14, 2026, a U.S. Coast Guard cutter intercepted a low-profile vessel approximately 200 nautical miles off the coast of Ecuador. Aboard were 3 crew members and 2.3 tons of cocaine, the latest in a long line of seizures that have made narco-submarines and semi-submersible vessels one of the defining challenges of modern maritime border security. What began as a rudimentary smuggling technique in the 1990s, crude fiberglass vessels barely able to clear the waterline, has evolved into a sophisticated engineering challenge. BorderTrend's monitoring of U.S. Coast Guard, DEA, and Combined Maritime Forces press releases documents a clear trajectory. The vessels are getting better, harder to detect, and more numerous. The evolution of the fleet. The earliest semi-submersible drug vessels were largely improvised, low freeboard fiberglass boats with minimal radar cross-section designed to ride just above the waterline and be difficult to spot visually or on radar. They were slow, unreliable, and frequently abandoned by their crews when intercepted. By 2020, a new generation of purpose-built low-profile vessels, LPVs, had emerged, more sophisticated, with diesel engines capable of sustained speeds of 15-20 knots, GPS navigation, and satellite communication systems. These vessels are typically built in remote jungle shipyards in Colombia and Ecuador, using materials and techniques that have improved markedly over 2 decades. The latest development, documented in BorderTrend's monitoring of Combined Maritime Forces enforcement reports, is the emergence of fully submersible vessels capable of extended submerged transit. Unlike the semi-submersibles of earlier generations, these true submarines can operate at depths that defeat surface radar detection entirely and require aerial or sonar assets to locate. The detection challenge. The fundamental challenge for maritime enforcement agencies is physics. A vessel riding 30 centimeters above the waterline in ocean swells of 1 to 2 meters presents a radar cross-section comparable to a piece of floating debris. At night, visual detection becomes nearly impossible at ranges beyond a few hundred meters. The U.S. Southern Command, SOUTHCOM, whose press releases are monitored by BorderTrend, has invested heavily in aerial surveillance assets, including P-8 Poseidon Maritime Patrol Aircraft, MQ-4C Triton unmanned aerial systems, and helicopter-borne radar platforms to extend detection range and persistence. Combined Maritime Forces, the 44-nation naval coalition, has developed dedicated low-profile vessel detection protocols that combine multiple sensor types. Despite these investments, enforcement agencies estimate that they intercept only a fraction of total LPV traffic. The U.S. Office of National Drug Control Policy has publicly acknowledged interdiction rates in the range of 20 to 30% of estimated total maritime cocaine shipments, meaning the majority of LPV transits go undetected. Beyond cocaine, diversification of cargo. BorderTrend's analysis of seizure reports reveals an emerging trend. LPV technology is no longer exclusively associated with cocaine. Enforcement agencies in the Eastern Pacific have documented cases involving fentanyl precursors, methamphetamine, and, in at least 2 confirmed cases monitored through BorderTrend's feeds, weapons destined for Central American criminal organizations. The operational logic is straightforward. A vessel capable of evading detection for a 2,500 nautical mile transit with 2 tons of cocaine can carry any commodity of equivalent value. As trafficking organizations' operational sophistication has grown, so has their willingness to diversify revenue streams using the same infrastructure. The international response. The primary multilateral response to narco-submarine trafficking is the Maritime Analysis and Operations Center, Narcotics, MAOCN, based in Lisbon, which coordinates intelligence and operational response among European and North American partner nations. BorderTrend monitors MAOCN public reporting alongside U.S. Coast Guard and SOUTHCOM releases to maintain comprehensive coverage of interdiction operations. The 2025 Maritime Security Agreement between Colombia, Ecuador, and the United States, signed in September and covered extensively in BorderTrend's monitored feeds, represents the most significant multilateral step in addressing LPV construction at source. The agreement includes provisions for joint law enforcement operations, targeting shipyard locations, and the supply chains for key materials including fiberglass, marine diesel engines, and navigation equipment. Whether source country interdiction can meaningfully reduce LPV construction remains to be seen. The economic incentive, a single successful LPV transit carrying 2 tons of cocaine, generates gross revenues of $50 to $80 million at European wholesale prices, is formidable. BorderTrend will continue monitoring maritime enforcement operations across all major trafficking corridors.